So you've decided you want to survive the zombie apocalypse, and you think the best weapon for the job is at least a small Japanese kanabo. Well, I'm going to show you how to make one of those. For that you need an above average size baseball bat, about 100 bolts, some sandpaper, something to measure with, something to mark with, something to mark angles with, a crescent wrench, a drill bit to correspond with those bolts, and of course a World War II era drill press. Or if you find any drill press will work. Doesn't have to be this big either, but I recommend it. The first step is actually to take some sandpaper and really kind of make it as uniform as possible. What's also a really good idea is not talking to the camera while you're working with sandpaper. It really messes up the audio. I mean, me talking to you right now, it's just an absolute waste of time. It's really, really annoying. So, don't do that. But do sand it up so you get a nice smooth surface. The reason for that is that I like to use a wood stain and things like this, mainly for visual effects, so it kind of lets the wood really pop. I have my angle finder here. Also, this has a yardstick on it, or a ruler. You know, yardstick, you know, a yard. So, measure down this way. Each of the bolts is going to be 1 inch apart between each hole. I want 8 rows of 12 bolts, so a total of 96 bolts, and the other 4 bolts, because 100 to a box, do whatever you want. What you want to do is mark off on this guy a full 90-degree angle X. That's the first step. So the most important, and of course by contrast the most boring aspect of any project, is measuring where you need to mark things. Simplest way is to find the maximum diameter of a cylinder and then make a cross reference. That way you get the exact center of a cylinder, of the vertical axis from above of a cylinder. Math. So now I have a even cross section of a 90-degree, but I need a corresponding 90-degree angle at a 32-degree angle. So basically I have an equilateral 8-degree axes running down the vertical lines of a cylinder. Any idea how long it took me to memorize that? I can put this guy in a nice horizontal position, get this guy out again. Now I've got to basically make my initial lines for the rows the bolts will be in. So my grand scheme for getting the lines down the side of it, what it is, literally get down to this angle, have your guide literally corresponding directly in line with the line. Now that I've got 2 lines, I can double check my own work. Always being able to double check your own work is beyond crucial. I have. Now that the vertical lines have been established, and that's kind of the hard part because you have to figure out where they go. So the easy part is take a regular tape measure and you figure out where exactly I want the bolt to be drilled, so you mark the horizontal cross line. The easiest way to do this on a baseball bat is start a line directly where the cylinder becomes straight versus domed. And this can be free-handed if you are super crazy careful. But if you've got a fully flexible tape, a measuring tape, then you can also use that. So that from marking from this line is where the corresponding cross lines for the horizontal lines are going to be marked, and that's actually where we're going to put your drill. Okay. Marking from there, mark 1 inch, and you also mark the letter A group. So I mark from 1 inch Alright, so now we got these. Now, on over here, next to the letter A, mark the letter B. This is a B group. Why am I putting these different categories? Because I want a diamond pattern. I don't just want straight, I want them to intersect. These actually start off ½ inch from the very beginning, as opposed to 1 inch. Then you start making 1 inch lines. And then continue on until you have 12 cross sections on each of the 8 rows. So I have effectively marked evenly 88 diamond pattern corresponding marks, which I'm sure you would have loved watching me do as much as I enjoyed measuring all that. In the end, I'm going to have 88 bolts in here. That's mostly determined to this convex shape of the bat. If you go any lower than this, you're going to end up compromising the handle. Now that all 88 holes have been drilled, it's time to clean it up. I got to do enough, basically to sand it up enough to get rid of all these lines. You notice I use a bench vise. Every single workshop, no matter how big, no matter how small, needs a bench vise. I cannot stress that enough. Get a bench vise. They're kind of pricey. I think it's like 60 bucks. Get one. You have no earthly idea how much they will help you. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm not showing the label for legal reasons, but this is a dark walnut number 2. It's gonna be a few minutes to let it dry, but basically walnut is my favorite. It doesn't really blot out the grain of the wood, but it's really gonna make the bolts pop, because this is gonna be dark brown, and the bolts are gonna be shiny. So for applying wood stain, I always recommend just a random piece of throwaway foam. They have foam paintbrushes. I don't like them for a couple reasons. Mainly, well, first of all, you have to clean them when you use them, but they're a little expensive. I never like just standard paintbrushes because they leave streaks, and this needs to be a smooth finish, especially with wood stain because it's so crazy thin. It needs to be just smeared on, but in the end product has to look very finished. I'm not even going to say it. So now that everything is, relatively dry, take a standard socket wrench and proceed to put your 88 bolts into your 88 holes. Now would be a really good time for a time lapse. And it's just that simple. 88 symmetrical, reasonably in place diamond pattern bolts, weighing out at 3.5 pounds, which means the whole apparatus is actually only slightly heavier than standard katana, but because all the weight is way out there, this thing is about as powerful as anything I make. Last year, one of these was used in the zombie rig.
Taking a ride on Easy Street.
I sold that one, had to make this one for the upcoming family reunion, which is not a joke, I actually am. They specifically asked for it. And thanks for watching. Tell me anything, if you have any questions, tell me what I got wrong. You won't be the first. Thanks again.